Okay. Welcome, everybody. It's been a while since I've done a stream of my own. As many of you probably know, the Killstream by the Ralph Retort and Zidane and Gator have been here for the past few nights. And, it was nice to have them. I'm actually surprised by all of the influx of subs and support. I understand that many of you came because of Ralph, and that's fine, but hopefully you can find something here of value to hang around. Unbelievably, I am already at many more viewers than I would usually consistently get, so thanks guys for at least coming to check it out. And Killstream is back tonight. They're back on the Ralph Retort main channel, so they'll be on at 11 as usual, so definitely, go over there when this is over with. I'll be off well before then. Not really looking to compete with that slot at all. But I figured I'd come on and give people something to listen to until then. So welcome everybody, and hopefully we're in for a bit of a good time. Appreciate all the support coming through. How are you guys doing tonight? Trump colluded with Master P, huh? Woody the Pecker. He's got some insight for us. All hail Blue Whale. Okay, yeah. I see we have a Gulf City Cartoons fan. I actually think they're pretty cool. I like their show. The Richard Spector parody, that shit is kind of hilarious. It's not that funny. What, Gulf City? Gotta support like-minded people. Well, yeah, I mean, hey, if you guys like what you hear, great. I'm all for it. So, I have a couple of things to look at. Again, thanks to Ralph and everybody for, coming and letting me hang out on the stream. That was fun. We had some good moments. Why'd you take Ralph's 49th channel? So this is the real man. Yes, this is the real scratch point, for better or for worse. Is there lag? I am getting... Yeah, it says it's okay. Let me see if I could change anything in the background. Usually everything is good. My connection's pretty good. Thanks again for generously hosting Ralph so we wouldn't miss any content. Yeah, it's no problem. I like to listen to the show, so it was good to be able to make sure that they had a place to do it. Are you getting lag? Shit. All right. Well, I'll try to figure it out in the background here. I think I might have to change a setting on the actual encoder, so apologies. Of course there would be a problem when, it's for my big welcome back show. Good now? Alright. Now it's buffering. Good now. Stop the background. Oh, you think the backgrounds are bad? Alright. Yeah, I'll try to switch to something else. That's weird, though, because I've streamed on this background before and never had an issue. But let's get rid of it. I'll switch over to something else. Let's just switch to the static image, I suppose. Which is not going to be as interesting. Alright, we'll just do this. Okay, we're static now. Turning off the, just froze. Shekels for you. Hey, Trainwreck Titty Blister. That is an awesome screen name. Great. So is the lag better? I cut the background, gone to the still image. Okay, so I guess I'm getting YouTube notifications through Streamlabs as well. I'm ready to go on, but I don't want to get into any topics if we're still having technical difficulties. But thank you for the 5. Is there still lag? Fucking YouTube delay. Seems better. Better. Great. Alright. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and just in case YouTube is still like reading the background video, I'm just going to go ahead and delete that out of my OBS. Better. Alright. Seems to have subsided. Everybody good. Seems like it anyway. Alright, so let's talk a little bit about just when you think it's good. Other channels having trouble as well. Fuck. So it might be a YouTube issue? Never mind lagging again. Oh, man. Well, this may be a bust, unfortunately. Go home, Killstream, you're drunk. Well, at least they were able to do their streams well enough. Oh, so Ralph got the strike rescinded. Yep, he posted about it on Twitter. He contacted me earlier this morning to say that it got reversed. You know, he given that they have real talent for pissing people off, he may be back here. YouTube issue, probably too many people streaming at once. Are we plotting to retake Ralph's stream? Yeah, you know, he's welcome back here anytime if he has trouble again. But for now, they're back on the regular channel tonight. So you guys have heard about the Valve policy update regarding their, you know, what they will and will not allow on the platform. Well, the game journalists, the so-called game journalists, have been flipping out. What do you do aside from hosting shitty streams for other people? Well, Luke Bat, thank you for subscribing. I do a wide variety of videos. I mean, they're mostly just opinion based, so if that's your thing, you know, hang around. But you know, it really depends on the person. I sometimes stream on my own, as you can see. It's not going too well tonight, considering the lag. Yeah, Jim Sterling claiming Valve endorses these games. Valve blog says it means the Steam store is going to contain something you hate and don't think should exist. We need your opinion on the JQ. Yeah, guys, maybe we should hold off before we get, you know, too crazy, right? But that's a nice screen name you got there, 1488, of course. Why not? All right, so anyways... Yeah, Jim Sterling had a video about it. You know what? Maybe we'll watch the, I was going to say maybe we'll watch the Jim Sterling video, but I don't know. Do you think he'll copyright it? I mean, I'd probably do a video responding to it anyway, so... Hold off, like just put them in camps. $5,000 Ultimate Survivor cast member. Your first name will be used. Details of what? What is going on? Yeah, I'm a Spite Club dude. He's against copyright. Oh, alright. No, play it. If he does, he is a cook. Well, doesn't he have like a gender fluid wife or something like that? I don't even know. Alright, well, let's try to find the video. I'm going to have to look it up, and then I'll put it up on the screen. Valve endorses AIDS simulator. That's quite interesting. That's a hell of a take there. Alright, well, let me see if I have my browser set up thing correctly. Maybe 2. Alright. That's a little bigger than I thought it was going to be. I thought I had one that was just the video. Alright, I believe I do. Yes, right here. Okay. Valve endorses AIDS simulator. So I guess we'll play it. We'll see what he has to say. And we'll check, then after that, we'll check out the Polygon write-up on that.
I'm left with no choice but to inform you all that Valve Corporation, Valve, responsible for Half-Life, Valve, headed up by Gabe Newell, Valve, they made Portal, Valve fully endorses AIDS Simulator, a game...
Am I the only one that's already annoyed by this? Like, what the fuck? I know I don't have the best radio voice, but what was that?
It is selling right now on Steam, and I say Valve fully endorses it as per what it said just this week in a blog post where Valve stated it's fully committed to doing fuck all regarding quality control on Steam. It has in fact confirmed that it is...
But wait, he frames this in a really weird way. I mean, he starts off with the AIDS simulator, which I don't even know what the fuck that is, but think about it. It's just an emotionally manipulative setup. Now you could say, well, maybe he's joking. Sure, maybe. But this is basically just like, oh, look, Valve is endorsing the worst of the worst right off the bat, and then go into the actual policy of, you know, what it is that they're doing. Which, if you look at the policy, which, you know, he's going to get to, obviously, it's not a radical position at all. It's basically just a business, you know, doing a business thing, which is trying to make a profit. But I mean, just because something is an AIDS simulator, which I don't even know what that is, does that mean they're simulating what it's like to have AIDS? Does that mean it's inherently bad? I mean, think about it. There was a game a while ago about cancer, about the father and his son who had cancer. I never played it. You know, people said, oh, it's very emotionally moving and whatnot. Of course, sure. But that's not really my interest. But is that inherently a bad game just because it's about cancer? Just because it's about having cancer? I don't think so.
Is 100% behind the idea of letting absolutely everything, and we mean everything, up on Steam without vetting. Their one proviso is that it has to be legal. So long as you're not uploading crimes to Steam's storefront, they'll sell it for you quite happily. This includes asset flips such as Unreal Engine maps that are there for devs to learn how to make games. They're not intended for public selling. They're fine and dandy, and of course they have Steam's blessing. They have Valve.
Has anybody actually seen anyone upload asset flips or anything like that? I'm not really familiar with, you know, game development exactly in Unreal Engine, but has anybody actually seen that be a thing? Let's see what's going on with the chat here. It's getting a little bit crazy for me to keep up, so just going to try to scroll through real quick, see what you guys are saying. Can't wait for more bouncy titty physics in games. I think we have plenty of those. His voice, ooh. This guy's voice is giving me AIDS just hearing it. Yay, strawmanning hard here. I'm actually subbed to Sterling because his degeneracy is entertaining. Well, that's one way to go about it. Yeah, I mean, I'm subbed to people that I don't necessarily enjoy listening to. It's more of just kind of to see what they're saying. If Valve folds to these pieces of shit trying to get them to censor content, then everyone should stop buying games on Steam or developing games for them. Yeah, I think that he's just kind of being ridiculous here. You don't understand. He doesn't seem to understand that people can decide for themselves what they want to buy. I mean, we've had shitty games in the market since video games have existed. Did anybody really have a problem choosing to not purchase them? I'm not remembering that being a thing. I mean, sure, sometimes you get a game and you're disappointed, but it's kind of just the way it goes with any product.
Endorsement, which of course is their right, but let's cut to the fucking chase. You can't walk into a random Kroger and put your own groceries up. No one's going into grocery stores, bringing their own food that they cooked in their own oven at home and putting them on the shelves to sell, unless it's a Whole Foods
Isn't that kind of a stupid comparison? I mean, a grocery store is a place that you go to purchase food which is provided by distributors. Most grocery stores get foods from a variety of different companies, so actually, in essence, it's nearly the same thing. I mean, say the store carries Oreo cookies from Nabisco. That's literally a company putting a product on the shelf at a store. Are you fucking retarded?
Obviously, because If you are selling something in your store, that means you're endorsing it, because welcome to the real fucking world. You exist in the real world, Valve, not just in this bubble of the internet where you think that nothing touches you, okay? And if you think I'm being facetious, no, I'm just treating Valve how Valve clearly wants to be treated.
I think you're treating them like a crazy person. If we think about this, even slightly critically, the idea that a company has to endorse, personally endorse, as in align with completely, every product that comes in and out of their store is kind of delusional. I mean, even if you break it down to the whole grocery store thing, what if somebody that works for, we'll go back to the Oreo comparison, what if somebody that works for Nabisco has an ideology that the store that sells the cookies disagrees with? Does that mean they have to go and remove the cookies from the store because one person, you know, an employee that works there happens to happens to believe something that the store that holds the cookies doesn't believe in? That's absolutely absurd.
I mean, this is all off the back of that active shooter game, that game about mass shooting, which had started to get mainstream and local news attention, where Steam was name-checked as selling it because, in the real fucking world, people will, and already have, there's historical precedent, in fact, as usual, I called it before it happened, people in the real world will see a shop selling edgy, wannabe, offensive garbage, and will see Steam as fully responsible.
Does Jim Sterling even remember what the real world is like? Like, when is the last time this dude went outside? And, you know, obviously releasing some sort of school shooter game, you could argue that it's in bad taste because of the current climate and the way that the media is propping up all these shootings. However, at the end of the day, it's a video game. It is fantasy, it is fiction, and there are many, many different violent games or games that feature violence as a mechanic. You can't ban them all just because there are some crazy people in reality. I mean, again, throughout history, humanity has done violent things at a time when video games weren't even a thought. So it's crazy to me to put the blame on video games. I think that's always an easy scapegoat. It's been around forever, and it always seems to cycle back around, and once again, they're trying this crap. And Jim, just because that's what people in the real world may do, it doesn't mean they're correct in doing it, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you should bow down to their demands.
Which it is. Because Valve thinks it's washed its hands of this whole situation by doing this, by saying it's up to you, it's up to users to curate the service. In a fantasy world, that's true, but in the real world, shops are responsible for the shit they sell. Speaking of which, let's have a look at the game that we'll get to Valve.
But Steam is just really a platform for various games to be purchased on. At the end of the day, we're talking about consumer choice. We're talking about the free will to spend your money in any way that you wish. I see somebody else subscribe, but I can't see what the notification is for. But just know that, thank you, I appreciate every subscription. Let's see, back to chat. Thank you for the subs, guys. Appreciate it. Jim Sterling's agender wife blocks the sun. He can't tell when it's daytime. Cigarettes are bad. Stores still sell them. Right. I mean, you could make the same argument for, you know, a variety of different products. You could say alcohol is bad. Stores still sell it. I mean, you know, where do you stop? Where do you draw the line? And I think drawing the line at something that's illegal is actually a good thing. Because, you know, you're following the law. Actually, Scratch Point, I would argue a game that allows you to play shooter scenarios as both shooter and police with differing levels of security could be a training tool. Yeah, I mean, some people, I know the military, I believe they have done things like that. I don't know about police, but I think in the military they've done things like that. Yeah, you know, you could make that argument, but like, what about things like Call of Duty then? I just don't think that games, like, maybe it's good for training your reflexes or, you know, kind of simulating what a battlefield would be like, but you don't learn about the firearms properly. I mean, yeah, of course, you know, mentally ill crazy people could go and be like, I've played Call of Duty for 90 hours, therefore I know how to handle, an AR-15, and I'm going to go out there and shoot some things up. But, those are unwell people. Those are cases that are outliers. No matter how much they're being propped up. Never stopped at a convenience store and thought that the store owner endorses the shitty beer I buy. Yeah, I just don't think that's the way. Are we doing the games make people violent, so let's ban them? Essentially, yes. It's sort of, that kind of similar argument. Arma is literally a military sim. I haven't played that or heard of it, to be honest. I'm not really familiar with too many shooters. That's not my style of game. But I do think that it's a little bit crazy and a little bit short-sighted to start, rather than addressing the root causes of what makes people go off the rails and do these things, they're turning to fiction as a way to, place the blame, find a demon that they can easily stomp out. Because I think that the real root causes that make these things happen is not too hard of an issue to solve, but definitely harder than just saying, oh, this movie is at fault, this game is at fault, Dungeons and Dragons is at fault. It just, like Keenan here says, when does it end? And it doesn't, because throughout time, people are always looking for a scapegoat. They're always looking for something to blame. I'm not saying that I have all the answers personally, but I don't think you're going to stop people from going nuts and shooting things up by taking away video games that do it, The important thing, I think, and I feel like the more that people treat fantasy and reality and they don't differentiate between the two, and we're seeing this where people are like expecting games to have political narratives, and if they don't speak the right one, they're ostracized. The developer will be called alt-right or whatever other buzzword they want to throw out. I think the more that you blur fantasy and reality like that, the more you create an environment where people will start thinking that, it's okay to do these things. It's okay to learn everything they need to know from fantasy, rather than saying, okay, this isn't just an outrageous thing that I can do in my free time and play a game. Confident speaker, you should get a co-host and start having guests to be another great stream channel to fill the gap left by IBS exploding. I will definitely try to do that. I do kind of have a co-host. He's actually in the chat. So I just did this on the fly. I actually came not prepared at all and fired up a stream because I thought, I'm sure people will know just from Ralph, but I thought I'd let everybody know that Killstream's not going to be here tonight. And since it's been like over a week since I've had any content of my own, thought now would be a good time, maybe, introduce the new people to the channel. Richard Spencer is going to rave on this channel in 6 months. Oh boy. It isn't actually about them being concerned with games causing violence. It's about control. Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of the people that are kind of professionally offended, if you will, they're always trying to enforce some sort of control over others. And I think it's, it stems from an insecurity. It stems from being told that from a young age that they're much more important than they actually are. And I don't mean that to denigrate anyone necessarily, because it just seems like the whole sort of everyone gets a trophy generation. Nobody's really taught like what it is to lose, and it's okay to lose. It's okay to fail. It's okay that not everybody's going to like you. It's okay that not everybody is going to agree with you. And I feel like there's not enough of that anymore. But let's get back to the video, because I am going off on a bit of a tangent here.
statements in a bit, but let's look at the game it 100% backs and fully believes in. AIDS Simulator, and be warned, of course, this is a bit of a bumpy ride. In AIDS Simulator, you play as a tourist that travels to Africa and contracts the HIV virus from the...
You gotta be kidding me. Oh, shit.
Locals. Now he must take revenge and kill everyone before he dies so that they won't keep spreading AIDS to the other parts of the world.
Well, I mean, come on, the guy's doing a community service. He's trying to stop AIDS. What the fuck is wrong with you, Jim?
African army soldiers will try to stop you. Do your best to kill. I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up. The game, even as usual, quite proudly, a lot of these games do that now, they proudly boast that the game is bad. If you're a game collector or just enjoy buying trash games in general, here's another garbage for your bin.
Well, see, that's kind of funny. Not only because the description is extremely trollish, but the other caveat to Valve's policy is that, you know, they won't sell anything illegal. I don't know how you would necessarily define an illegal game, but they also won't sell anything that is, I forgot the way they worded it, but something in regards to trolling, if they consider it trolling. So if somebody went and reported this game, and I have no doubt that you're going to get a bunch of, thanks to Jim's video, you're going to get a bunch of easily offended morons just losing their minds over the fact that this exists, and they'll probably report it. And I think, given that they're so outward with their trolling here, there's probably a good chance it'll end up removed. I mean, so they're acting like it's the Wild West of gaming, which, again, I'm not really necessarily seeing the problem with unless it's like stolen content. But it all really just comes down to choice. Sounds funny already. Okay, I'm going to go back to the video, though.
Promise that it's an asset flip, that it's very short, that it performs poorly, that it's a zero-effort cash grab. It's one of these games that have realised you don't have to put in effort anymore. And in fact, so long as you make it as shocking and attempt to make it as offensive as possible, because everything's become overtly politicised now, some fucking idiots who only care...
I don't really know what's political about getting AIDS, though. I agree there's an over-politicization, but I don't necessarily believe this is political in any way. And, you know, this, obviously, it's not my type of game, again, but you know what I do when I see a game that exists and I'm like, fuck this thing? I don't buy it. I don't run to the company and scream, you can't sell this. I just don't buy it. Because in a capitalist society, in a so-called free market, if you don't purchase a product and you ignore it, it goes away. That's the beauty of it. It goes away if not enough people buy it. You never have to see it again. And there is, for some people, shock value is appealing. It may not necessarily equate to good, but some people like the shock value of things.
Care about triggering people are gonna flock to your horrendous asset flip that cost very little and took even less time to make. They're gonna swarm around you and defend you to the hilt. So now there's actual money in making asset flips because that hill is something that a bunch of morons have decided to die on. But we need to remember that Valve endorses AIDS Simulator, a game in which you go to Africa and kill all the locals. That is something that Valve backs because it ain't illegal, so Valve thinks it's fine to sell. Even though, again...
I mean, isn't that how society basically works? If it's not illegal, it's okay under law. I mean, I understand we have social contracts and whatnot that kind of determine what's right or wrong, etiquette, all that good stuff. But just because it's a rule in place, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's inherently good. I mean, just because this isn't... It's absurd to me. Maybe I just grew up in a different time, but I've never seen a need to be like, oh, this piece of fiction that I don't like exists. Burn it. Get rid of it. Kill it with fire.
Any reasonable storefront that cared about its reputation and didn't want to invite at least mainstream news attention, possibly...
I don't know about that. I would kind of argue that they do care about their reputation, just not in a way that Mr. Sterling here can get behind. What they're trying to do is, rather than enforce ideology and piss more people off, they're trying to keep it as open as possible because they know that someone's going to get mad no matter what they do. And I think that gets mentioned in the Polygon piece as well.
Regulator attention would want to touch this utterly poisonous shit. In a waffling blog post that doesn't really say anything, Steam asks who gets to be on the Steam store, and the answer, as we've already worked out, is basically everything and anything. They claim that Valve is not a small company, we're not a homogenous group, the online debates around these topics play out inside Valve as well. Now they're trying to make it sound like, oh, our hands are tied, we couldn't possibly do anything. But the important part of that sentence, or rather those sentences, is Valve is not a small company. It's not. It's got a lot of people, it's got a fuckload of money, it could afford to take the time and resources to actually vet its content so it doesn't get into major trouble in the future, so it's safeguarded against...
But outside of anything that is quote-unquote illegal, which again, I guess would only be like stolen content, how exactly can they get in trouble? Are we talking social consequences? Are we, like, slaps on the wrist from overly offended people? Because that's not necessarily a good reason to give in. I think somebody does need to stand up and just say, you know, you guys can get mad, but at the end of the day, it's your responsibility to interact with whatever it is that you want to interact with or don't want to interact with. You know, you don't need a second set of parents. You had that when you were a kid. Now you're grown up. I mean, obviously there are some Steam users that are kids, but there's age restrictions already in place. But for the adults, I've mostly seen adults complaining about this. Why do you want someone to hold your hand and tell you what it is that you are allowed to play for entertainment?
It's the kinds of controversy no corporation really wants to deal with, but it doesn't want to. And there's no debate. There's no debate about this as far as I'm concerned. You don't debate whether or not you're going to get in trouble for selling troublesome shit. There's enough history in the world, in the real world, to tell you exactly where this road leads. And that you're having a debate about it, Valve, indicates to me...
Is he going to give us a real-world example of that? Because I don't know what he's referring to exactly. I mean, I'm sure you can find something, just given that the vast amount of things for sale, but an example would have been nice.
Me, that you're fucking stupid. And of course lazy, because you not wanting to do your due diligence as a storefront is pure fucking laziness. If not gross incompetence, or again, complete endorsement, which is exactly how people offline will view this when they hear about this. It's what they assumed when they heard about active shooter. You literally just had this teachable moment, Valve. And hey, works for me. I love making direct-to-video videos, so this is going to keep me in work just fine. It's just a real shame that you endorse Aid Simulator, Valve. I don't know why you do that. It seems like a grotty little game.
You know, why are you co-signing this game? Why do you believe everything in Aid Simulator, even though it's clearly a joking shock value game? Why do you believe it's okay? This is ridiculous. This guy... Why does anybody watch Jim Sterling?
I don't know why I'd be proud to sell it, but clearly you are, because it ain't illegal. It's also not illegal to put up a game with a missing executable file, I suppose, because you still let those up as well, you grossly incompetent, lazy asses. And
okay, but that's kind of a different subject. On one hand, you're talking about, oh, this game here is offensive, therefore you endorse it. And on the other, you're talking about a game that's missing an executable, which, you know, is a real problem, but don't conflate the two and pretend it's the same thing.
Valve, you can hide behind the false conflation of curation and quality
Holy fuck, he just mentions false conflation right after making one. The self-awareness.
Control all you want. Anybody with a brain in their head can tell the difference between curation and quality control and basic standards and practices. Also, Valve as a company, you get to join Randy Pitchford in the wonderful group of people who have invited me to come talk to them and then lied directly to my face. I remember when you said you gave a shit about your dwindling reputation and the fact that you're selling shit, but clearly you were bullshitting as usual. We've decided that the right approach is to allow everything onto the Steam store except for things that we decide are illegal or straight up trolling.
Straight up trolling right there. So AIDS Simulator may end up getting taken down if they deem it trolling. Not saying I necessarily agree with that, but it is a possibility.
Taking this approach allows us to focus less on trying to police what should be on Steam and more on building those tools to give people control over what kinds of content they see. And in Valve's nebulous bubble of a fantasy, that's a very fine compromise. But that's not how, long term, this shit is gonna play out. And beyond Valve's reputation and the mainstream trouble it could get into, I've talked on the Jimquisition before about how independent developers, the ones who actually put the effort in, are less and less looking at Steam as a viable option. Some of them seeing it as a complete waste of time, some of them massively outselling their Steam versions of games on systems like the Switch, which have really stepped up and given indie developers at least a brief respite for a while.
Now, I don't know the exact reason why that is. Maybe it is a Steam reputation thing, but for me personally, when I choose to buy a game that's not on Steam, you know, on a console or whatever, it's simply because I prefer physical copies, and I miss physical copies. It's something that I always liked buying games, you know, growing up. I'd always choose to have a physical copy, something with a manual, a case, something you can look at. So I don't know what the issue is there, but again, Steam has a pretty good return policy. You can spend up to 2 hours playing a game and then decide that you want to refund it, and I think that's pretty fair. You could usually tell in 2 hours whether you can, you know, whether the game is total junk, and if you can't, you know, maybe you deserve to get stuck with the shovelware.
Somewhere where they can sell something and have a reasonable chance of people actually seeing it. I'm not even going to hold the developer of AIDS Simulator, Buncho Dudes, of course it's called that, accountable for AIDS Simulator. Valve is accountable for AIDS Simulator. Valve's always been accountable for this shit that goes up unvetted and fully available to cause all sorts of long-term trouble. And that's why Valve endorses AIDS Simulator.
That's why Jim Sterling is AIDS. That's just crazy to me because he does have a point that there obviously needs to be a level of quality control to make sure that people aren't just trying to rip off consumers. You know, again, there is a refund policy in place. But to conflate the issue of sort of an ideological decision to censor versus, you know, quality control, as in the quality of the product itself, those are two very different things, and it seems dishonest to frame it as though it's all part of the same issue. Joseph Kerwin, Amazon endorses every book and dildo they sell. Thank you for the $2, Joseph. Appreciate it. All right, let's see. Let me go back here a little bit because I know I've missed some of you guys. Welcome to everybody who has joined us since. Appreciate you guys stopping by to check out the stream. Let's see. I'm scrolling up quite a bit because I just want to make sure, you know, I'm not missing anything too important, so bear with me. Yeah, it's kind of crazy to me that we're having this kind of argument, and people, grown-ass adults, actually seem to want to have a nanny deciding why they need, you know, that they need somebody to look over them and decide what they should and should not purchase. And that, to me, seems just a little bit ridiculous. Here's an example of catering content to please SJW's comic books, and it is killing the industry. Yeah, time and again, we have seen that when they make these ideological changes to the mediums, they fail. Nobody wants that shit. You know, the culture kind of wants it on paper, but when it's put into practice, the people that actually care about the products don't buy it. He makes a living off conflating this shit. It does seem that. Dude, your stream is choppy as hell for me. Sigh. Fuck. I've been told that it's a YouTube itself issue, so I apologize for that, but unfortunately, there is not too much I can change in the background here. I would recommend trying to turn the quality down on the stream a little bit. Maybe that would help. Streaming from mobile hotspot. No, actually, I'm hardwired into a pretty decent internet connection. So it shouldn't be an issue, unfortunately. But that's what's happening. That was a little while ago, though, so hopefully things are improving on the internet side of things here. To call all sorts of long-term trouble equals offends Jim Sterling. Yeah, I just don't think that, and I feel like this is common sense, but I just don't think that people should create rules for a company based on what people find offensive necessarily, because it's Joe Dirt donated 5 through Super Chat. I appreciate that, Joe. Thank you. I'd love to pick your brain about Crunchyroll, Faku, and the atmosphere of soy and anime nowadays. Cool stream, bud. We could talk about that sometime. I'm going to try to do these a little bit more regularly, and I do have a Discord kind of that I'm trying to work on getting set up. I'm going to need $25,000 though, so be prepared, guys. Open your wallets. Yeah, I've talked a little bit about Crunchyroll. I have some videos on the channel where I covered that. I covered the controversy regarding one of their mobile games and how they decided to censor it. And even though the core consumer base was unhappy, they stood by it, they justified it, and they also false advertised and lied. So I recommend checking out that series after the stream if you're a little bit interested in what's going on with that. But I think the problem here is that arbitrary lines of offense shouldn't rule what can be sold, simply because just by extension of the vast amount of people in the world, you are never going to be able to please anybody. That's a cheap-ass ghetto server. You should shoot for the $75,000 model. Well, you know, I was trying to be reasonable. Savage Machines, thank you for subscribing. Shut it down. Yeah, Steam stopped the waifu holocaust. I'm glad that, you know, they're heroes. If they allow it on Amazon but no one buys them, is it still an issue? Yeah, you see, this is where it gets really murky, and I don't understand how they don't see it. I don't understand how they don't see the standard here, that you can't necessarily be like, oh, a store that is just basically a variety store endorses every product personally. Anita and her 25K server, like, I wish I was that talented at conning people. I hear you. That is crazy. I'm honestly amazed. I'm just amazed that people are still willing to give her money. I know she talks the right narrative, but don't they look at the history? Don't they see that she didn't even finish the initial series that she took in all that money for? I guess really all you have to do is claim that you're a victim of harassment and you're covered for forever. Where is Zidane? I don't think he's here right now, but I wouldn't mind having him on sometime. He's always welcome. Calls other people's lazy fucks and you see him. Yeah, that's a little bit of irony for you. Just a little bit. I need 12K to open an email. Please respond. YouTube donators, please respond. TR is back on TR. Yep, Ralph got the channel back, so he's back on. The Killstream will be back on their channel tonight. I'm actually gonna wrap up before they start so that you guys can head over there and enjoy that. I'm so confused as to what this is. Oh, yeah, okay. Well, for anybody that is a little bit confused, I do apologize for that, but Killstream is going to be back on Ralph's channel for the time being because they got his strike reversed. This is the actual owner of the channel, and I just figured I'd be streaming for a little bit here. Thanks for hosting the Killstream. You're a good people. Denkus Maximus, appreciate the $10. Thank you a lot. That's awesome. Thanks for hosting the Killstream on your channel. Anytime. They're welcome back here anytime. I like the show. I like the guys. I like that whether you agree or disagree with, you know, what they say, that they're willing to have basically anybody on. You know, they're basically an open forum, and you know, they don't expect blind agreement. They're real people. I think they're real people, you know. And I think a lot of what we're missing on these online platforms is just somebody being genuine. You know, that to me is more important than agreement or disagreement. Because if somebody's not genuine, you can't really interact with them in a meaningful way. I'll stay sub to you. I appreciate that. You know, as long as you like the content, you are welcome to stay. You know, I can't pull anybody's arm to do that, but I do appreciate the support. Ralph is so fat, he's double real. No, he lost a lot of himself there. I think he lost like 100 pounds, he said. Can you start the shill stream calling out phonies like Jim Sterling? Yeah, we will definitely cover a lot of that over here. That's generally the kind of stuff that I talk about. You know, it really all just depends on like what's going on, what I've been doing lately, what I've been seeing online. Subbed, hope to see good stuff, your man. Thanks for hosting, TRR. You are welcome, dude. That sounds like I'm just calling you dude, but no, it's actually his username. JF, Andy, and Nick need to divide up their time slot. Well, they're all kind of doing their own things now, right? Steam was the SJW heaven. Jim wants to be on it. What the hell? What will he shit on when asset flips and bad games are gone? His viewership would go away. I mean, yeah, he said right in the video. I could join your stream, although your internet might completely die. Would Donga fight Jim Sterling? Oh boy. I don't know. I think the fight me IRL days are over, from what I gathered. All right, so I do. I mean, I feel like we kind of beat the Valve topic into the ground, but I think there's one little bit of the Ben Kuchera article that I did want to share, and it was mostly because he framed it as though it was some sort of radical position, when it was really just a way of saying, we're going to let everything fly except for things that are illegal, because at the end of the day, we're just a video game platform. But I might skip on pulling that up because we already beat that into the ground, and I gave my position on that. I think that Steam is doing the right thing. That doesn't necessarily mean it will be perfect, but I think more freedom for people to post their creativity is a good thing, whether or not there tends to be some crap lumped in there. Thanks for being so hospitable to us. Hope we didn't break anything. I'm staying sub. Thank you. And no, nothing is broken. Everything seems fine so far. I've dealt with strikes here before on my channel. Actually, my most popular video that I had ever done, it was basically just mocking the whole gender fluidity thing, and it reached about 100,000 subs, and then they removed it. How can something virtual be illegal if it doesn't hurt anyone? Well, like I said, they haven't really put up a good definition of what constitutes illegal, but I'm guessing like if somebody tries to steal assets from a game and then kind of tries to sell it on their own, you know how you'll see RPG Maker and people will take like graphics from Final Fantasy and shit, and then they'll market the game as theirs. It's like, you all know the assets are from old Final Fantasy games, so maybe if somebody went and like tried to sell that on Steam, they would get in trouble for it. It'd be considered legal because it'd be considered, you know, breaking copyright, stealing intellectual property. Other than that, I don't really know how they would determine that. I'm sure somebody a little bit more informed on the legal aspects of that may have some ideas, but that's the only thing I can really think of where it would be applicable. Thought I would jump in and say thanks for hosting the Killstream. Godspeed. You are welcome. Stream was good. Killstream was a lot of fun. Your stream is so comfy. This is the type of thing you watch before or after IBS, and I like it. Appreciate that, man. Yeah. Did I just assume your gender? I believe I did. All right, let me see. Because I do have a couple more things here that we can pull up. Okay, this is video game related too. So let's... And I thought this was funny. These next couple things are just going to be kind of things that I pulled from some images that I pulled from Twitter, posts that I pulled from Twitter. And I know, Twitter's not really a big deal, but some of the things that people post are just so fucking comical. This person is absolutely serious. Now, it does say unpopular opinions, fighting game edition, so yeah, they're having unpopular opinions about a fighting game, and this is an unpopular opinion, however, it's also a stupid one. Move execution is thinly veiled ableism. Forget quarter circles and button sequences. Let's make every move super simple to activate. Forget the how. Give more room to the when and why of using your character's abilities. This is extremely retarded, and I hate to just dismiss it right off the bat, but my reason for this is that ableism is a ridiculous concept. The idea that you should limit what you can do on the basis of somebody else's disability is insane. I mean, think about it. If you had to check video games for ableism, you know what you'd end up with? You'd end up with nothing. Because you'd have to be catering to vegetables, the most physically disabled people that exist. So you'd have nothing. And this ruins the idea of fighting games. So you have the basic moveset, which is your punches, your kicks, maybe some of the simpler combos. And that's basically just, pressing punches and kicks in succession. And then you have special moves. The qualifying word here is fucking special. You guys should know all about this, being from the Special Snowflake Factory. But if you take away the button inputs for special moves, they're not special anymore. You're just encouraging a fighting game where people spam the shit out of each other. There's literally no skill involved. And even fighting games that have movesets that require, complex inputs, which I don't even think are that complex, even then people spam moves. So you'd really just be completely destroying the entire point of having a fighting game. It would be the dumbest thing ever. Let's see. More thank yous for hosting the Killstream. You guys are welcome. As I said, Ralph is welcome back anytime if there's any issue here. Or if any issue over there, I should say. Let's see. What you guys got? Killstream is in a great time slot. Fills that coast-to-coast column. Let the crazies talk, roll. Yeah, it's a good one. I like it especially because, they don't really have this holier-than-thou attitude, They're not e-celebs. They're just a couple of guys having a good time. I think we need more like that. Fighting game moves are piss easy to pull out. Yeah, basically, I mean, not in Street Fighter 1. Yeah, Street Fighter 1 kicked my ass. I played the collection there. The recent one that they came out, 30th Anniversary Collection. I streamed it on Twitch a little. By the way, guys, I do stream on Twitch, so if you want to go over there, the name is also Scratch Point. That'll be my advertisement for the evening. But, yeah, basically, Street Fighter 1, I got all the way to, I think, one of the final characters, bosses, whatever, Adon. I think he was one of the final ones. Probably before Sagat, considering they're both in Thailand, according to the lore of Street Fighter. He kicked my ass. He just destroyed me straight up. I could not get anything in there. But yeah, that was one ridiculous opinion. I pulled up some others here, but let me see. Oh, so there was this game called Agony recently, which is literally about burning in the fires of hell. But apparently it's actually about dehumanizing women, and it's not just bad, it's toxic. It's like, game journalists are just insane these days. Do they even like video games? Do they even care? And, I did look at the article. As much as I don't like this Klepek guy, he's an idiot. And it seemed like a lot of it was just ideological issues. He did eventually get to the gameplay and say the gameplay was bad, which, fair enough. That's what a game review is supposed to do. But I'm tired of this, we need to know your opinions, we need you to slap us on the wrist because, you know, we're playing something problematic, games journalist. Nobody wants to read this shit. But I do want to point out something here. Game journalist owns himself without even realizing it. So he's got this about dehumanizing women, and then this was at the very end of the article. Rather than coding its ideology in metaphor or subtext, it's danced right in front of you. Agony knows exactly what it's saying. Fortunately, you don't have to listen. You know, and he doesn't realize that that applies to game journalists and their bullshit moral posturing. You don't have to listen, and I recommend that you don't, because the less these guys get support, the less they get clicks, the less they get revenue, they'll go away. And they'll be like, what happened? Oh, it was those evil, racist, misogynist, sexist gamers. Yeah, of course it was. It couldn't have anything to do with the fact that you write like you're in elementary school. I do have a couple things here left. Isn't Agony censored? I believe Agony is censored, but I think, I'm almost positive that they're going to have a patch to uncensor it, that tends to be what always happens. Have you seen that TV show about the female serial killer that murders sexist men that's played like it's quirky and fun? No, I have not, but that does sound like something that would be popular in this day and age. Very few people actually read Waypoint. Yeah, they are a cancer. I believe they're an offshoot of Vice, which makes it even worse. I heard them apologizing for censoring on One Angry Gamer. Yeah, I think they were forced into it, basically. What's the ideology of Agony? Apparently the ideology of Agony is sexism. That's just the one they ascribe to it. It's not actually, obviously. It's about hell. Of course it's going to be the worst place ever. Of course it's going to treat women like shit. I mean, I don't even know if that's true, but apparently you have to collect apples with vaginas in order to gain skills and shit. That's awesome. I mean, look, it doesn't look like a game I'd really want to play, but again, that doesn't mean it shouldn't exist. That doesn't mean other people aren't going to play it and enjoy it. I don't know if the gameplay is any good. It might be crap. It might not. It might just be this guy's judgment clouded by the fact that he can't handle that something is presented in a way that he personally disagrees with. Because, of course, everything has to be framed in the lens of social justice, our Lord and Savior of current year. All praise. Well, at least I put my money against the feminist agenda by buying it. You got it on Steam. I don't know where they were selling it. I imagine they probably sold it on Steam as well. Well, you have 2 hours to decide whether you like it, so if it sucks, just return it. Game is cool, graphic as hell, but it's really just another walk-through halls horror game. Yeah, horror games these days seem to rely a lot on the whole jump scare factor, and that really doesn't do it for me. All right, we've almost gone for an hour. I'm probably going to stay on for a couple more minutes here, and we'll just check this out real quick. So Hank Green is a guy, part of a very popular YouTube duo of brothers. I believe they call themselves the Vlog Brothers. Very annoying people. So, of course, they're going to... I don't know what you guys personally think of Jordan Peterson. I think he's okay enough. I don't really have any harsh opinions of him. I see why people, listen to him. He doesn't... Some people say he is very, simplistic, like clean your room and shit like that, but the fact remains that, he is at least trying to help people in a way that he believes is constructive. So I just think that regardless of what you think of him, that this post is sort of a misrepresentation of what he talks about. So legit question for Jordan Peterson fans. Once you've made your bed, stood up straight, gone the extra mile, and make it to the top of your dominance hierarchy, is there advice for what to do then? Because, going through life and trying to be the best individual that you can absolutely be, what do you do after that? It's just, that's a waste of time. How could you waste your time like that? So, and the dominance hierarchy thing, I kind of believe that that's a blatant misrepresentation. I don't think that Peterson is saying get to the top, get power. He's saying better yourself, and by bettering yourself, you will better the world that you operate in by default. And I think that that's true. If you have more stable, fleshed out people, then those people will act in a way that is more than likely beneficial for the world, because they'll be stable, they'll be more happy, they'll be at peace with themselves, so they can be at peace with others. And if you notice, a lot of this cultural stuff really seems to stem from people projecting their own personal insecurities and personal demons onto others so that they can feel like they're doing something valuable, when really a lot of it is just social media outrage culture. I'm not saying that, there's no valuable criticisms, or that everybody that has a problem with somebody else is just projecting. That's clearly not the case. But I do think when it comes to a lot of these social justice-y situations, that is what happens. For example, a lot of the male feminists being outed as, sexual harassers themselves when they've spoken so vehemently against it. It's a big problem. So he just says, this person replied, I think it's less about being at the top of the dominance hierarchy and more about being as strong as possible to be able to lift others. Yep, that's basically it. I just haven't seen any of his work recognize that it is the responsibility of those with power to correct injustice and work against inequality. Is there at least some lip service paid to that, or is the idea that gaining power just leads to overall good? Again, he's the only one framing it as this system of power, because that's how these guys think. They think everything is a power structure. Everything is a system of oppressor versus oppressed. And if you're somebody that's in a good position, you're oppressing somebody that's not in a good situation. And that's simply not the case. That's too much tribalism, too much groupthink, too much collectivizing, because I'm somebody that personally thinks, that even though there are generalizations that sometimes apply, that there are good and bad in all walks of life, and you can't just say everyone that has this is terrible, everyone who doesn't is a victim. That's not how life works, and by feeding into that narrative, you're actually doing a disservice to the people that feel like they're victims. You're giving them this sense of learned helplessness. They feel like they can't do anything because they've been told they can't do anything. No matter what you do, you're oppressed. The system is out to get you. If you foster an environment where that is the narrative that you believe, you're going to create very weak people that don't think they have a chance, and they're just going to throw up their hands and blame everybody else for everything that happens to them. It doesn't work like that. Overcoming adversity, as much as it sucks to deal with it in the then and there, it's valuable to growing as a person. And I think a lot of people miss that as we so-called, quote-unquote, progress as a society. The idea that comfort is what's important, I believe it cuts out a large part of what the human experience is meant to be, and that's not all sunshine and rainbows and happiness. It's not as ideal. I don't think it's as ideal as people think it is to be happy all the time. I mean, first of all, I genuinely don't believe they're actually happy all the time. And second, part of learning to be able to be happy is understanding what it's like to be unhappy and why you're unhappy. So this guy is basically a tool. I don't respect him. I think everything he says is this thinly veiled, passive-aggressive garbage. And I see it time and again, and he usually doesn't respond to the criticism against him. He just kind of puts it out there and only kind of selectively replies to people that kind of agree, or at the very least say something that's kind of innocuous like this. Let's see. You want to end this stream before the kill stream because you don't want to miss the kill stream either. Well, yeah, that's definitely true. I don't want to miss it. Jordan Peterson is creepy. It's about curious, like, I guess I'm just curious he talks about how he wants to have sex. That's not true, though. I looked at the thing that that Vox Day guy was kind of posturing about, and he he sort of mischaracterized that. It's a dream. I mean, people have fucked up dreams all the time. If I shared some of my past dreams on stream, I'm sure people would be like, you're a fucking psycho too. It's your brain, you know, just working overtime on you. I'm not sure how you can really control that. It's about suppression of opposing viewpoints and intimidation. They don't actually care. Well, right, they're trying to get the power that they so desperately, you know, want and believe others have. It's not about equalizing people. It's about taking something away and maintaining control. It's the whole point. It's the entire goal. Yeah, I don't like that. I think it's fucked up, and I don't think it helps anyone. No idea what scratch. Oh shit! I hope it's you in Canada. No, I'm actually in the U.S. I am in New York. Oh, I'm doxing myself now. I mean, the way Peterson talks in his body language is creepy. Oh, okay, I got you. Great show, bad lag. Oh, yeah, I apologize for that, guys. I don't know what's going on. All right, well, since we are experiencing lag, and that was basically the last thing that I really had to cover, I think we'll cut it off here. Hopefully. Gluck is a cancerous... Wait, what? When did she... I don't know what... I don't know what that is. Right. Wait, where the fuck is Ralph? Oh, this isn't Ralph's show. He's back on his channel tonight. They got the strike appealed, and they will be back on the Ralph Retort main channel. All right, so I want to say thank you for all the new viewers, all the new subscribers, all of the super chats. Definitely unexpected and appreciated. But thank you guys very much, and I will, you know, try to be back next time. I'll probably have co-host or maybe some guests next time, and we'll see what's up. Thank you and appreciate it, and everybody go and check out Killstream back on its old channel, Ralph Retort. Later.